Hi, welcome to another Witchdoctors DIY Garage, where we show you how to do it so you can save yourself some money. Today we're going to do something a lot of you guys have been asking for. We're going to show you how to change the front fork seals on a Victory Vision. So there's really only two things you need to know, is they come, certain years had a 45mm fork and certain years had a 46mm fork. So a lot of people say, how do I know what I have? We're going to show you how to do that. So let's go over to the bench and show you what to do. So what you want to do, the way you tell the difference on the forks, okay, is if you look here on the fork, inside the one fork, you're going to see that M. If you have that M on the fork, that's a 45mm fork. If you don't have an M, like on this one, that means it's a 46mm fork. Now if you want to double check, it's real easy. What we use is a caliper, okay? Now, I'm not a machinist, I don't know how to read these things, so I have a digital one. This is just from Harbor Freight, they're like $8 on sale, okay? So you set it on millimeters, and what you're measuring is this size of the tube. So you just measure that, and you see it's about 46mm. Okay, my thing's moving here a little bit, but if you can see that, it's about 46mm. So this is the 46mm fork. If we do the same thing on the other forks, you'll see that's about a 45. I'm trying to get it so you can see it in the camera here, but I'm wobbling my thing around. But 45mm, that's what that one is. So that's how you tell the difference on what your forks are. So the way we're going to do this is take the seals out. What we have to do first is down underneath, inside here, you have an Allen bolt. It's an 8mm Allen bolt. You want to get that out first. So you just kind of put it in the vise to hold it. If you have a vise that has a lot of teeth in here, you want to be really careful because you'll dig into there and you'll scratch it up. So this one's smooth, but we put a rag in there just so you don't scratch it. And just kind of clamp it there so something holds it. You're going to take your Allen wrench, Allen socket, whatever you have. And sometimes these are really hard in there, okay? So you're just going to put it in there. If you don't have any socket, this is a special socket, a real long one. If you don't have that, little trick, you just put that in there, hook a wrench on there, and snap that loose. Gives you a little bit of leverage. You can also, if you guys don't have it, put a crescent wrench on there, like that, and do the same thing. Just a little tip for you, you don't need special tools. So you want to take that bolt out. It's fairly long. And just something, this might be a good blooper video because I have never done this in my life. So what you're seeing me do, I've never done it, and I've never looked at a picture on how to do this. So you want to take that bolt out, okay? Now careful because there's that copper washer on there. You don't want to lose that. It's like a little gasket washer. You don't want to lose that. Now, the fork usually has oil in it, so you want to make sure you have a bucket or something to pour that oil out. Okay, and this will move up and down now. It goes fairly easy, so it'll come up and down. But you want to just get your oil out of there. Just know, don't let it drip on your feet or something. Okay, so the next thing you want to do, I'll put this on the floor so it drips. But we want to get this nut up on the top off. Okay? Now, you can put this tube in the vise, but you don't want to squeeze too hard. Okay? You don't want to crush that. You want to go just enough that it holds it. You don't want to scratch this up. Make sure you put a rag on there. Real important, don't scratch that and don't screw it up. What this nut up here is a 22mm. Couple different ways you can do it. If you have a socket that's 22 millimeter, put it on with a socket. If you have a crescent wrench, do it with a crescent wrench. A lot of you guys may not have a socket that big. I just take a wrench. If you don't have 22 millimeter, 7/8 is real close. It's a little bit loose, but it'll work. You just have to be careful. Now that is on there really tight. It's hard to get loose. So what you want to do is you want to hit this with a hammer, believe it or not. You just want to give it a quick jolt, okay? So you just hold that and then hit this. Still tight. Give it a quick whack and there you go. It'll break it loose. So you want to unscrew that. And just be careful because it is under spring pressure. So you can feel it as you're unscrewing this. You can feel the pressure. So just be careful. You know, don't stand in front of it. There you go. So now if you look, all the oil's coming out. That released the pressure inside so it'll drip. That's why we put the bucket on the floor. Okay? So now we have this, the dampening rod in here, the spring and everything. Still got a lot of oil in there, but you can pull that out now. So that's that. You don't have to mess with this. You just kind of set it aside. But that's the dampening rod. That's your spring with all the oil in there. So really pretty easy. Okay? So we'll set that aside. Now the one thing I do, just to kind of keep the mess from going, is I get some brake clean and I spray that all out. Because when you're working with it, you don't want this oil to just keep running out all over you. So I just spray that out real good. Clean everything off, let it drain. You can pump that a couple times and get that last little bit of oil out of there. Like I say, there's nothing worse than trying to work on this and stuff's dripping all over you. Okay, so now we're going to put the fork in the vise so we have something to hold it again. Don't clamp it tight, just enough to hold it. And we're going to get the seal out of here. We're going to work right here. Now, this little fork guard right here, it's on there pretty tight. Like on a cross country, they lift off. On this one, it's on there pretty tight. You usually can't pull that off with your hand. Couple different ways you can do it. If all you have is a screwdriver, you can take a flat blade screwdriver and kind of work it and tap on it and push it off. I don't recommend that because it's plastic and you're going to put marks in it. I wouldn't do that, but if it's all you have, just be careful. I use a punch, okay? Just kind of tap it, work your way. And work around it even. Just don't work on one side. Push it off even. And it comes off pretty easy this way. Just go back and forth. Okay, it's still stuck on there pretty good. There we go. And then just pull that off. Now you can kind of see what we're working. This seal right here. Now that's where I take a little screwdriver and just kind of get in between it here. There's a spot right here where you can kind of get in between it. And you can see it. Just kind of work it. Push it right up. It'll pop right out. Now, one thing you want to do is when you take these parts off, lay them out in order on the bench of how they came out. Okay? Because when you go to put it back together, you're going to wonder how in the world did they come off? Were they this way? Was the seal on this way? Was it on this way? Lay it out on a bench and then take your cell phone and take a picture of it. That way you can see, you can come back and you can see what you did. Now down in here is the seal. Let me get a flashlight. And what you're looking for is there's a little spring clip down in here. It's really hard to see. But right here, if you can see, try to get the light. Right here there's a spring clip. It looks just like a wire really. It goes all the way around. You want to pull that, you want to pry that out towards the center. It's in a slot. If you can see that. See it coming up right there? That's the spring clip you want to get off. There you go. Just kind of pop it out of there and you kind of have to work it out. But there's the clip. That's what we just got out. That's what holds the seal in. So you're going to set that down. This is actually a spring in the seal. I just kind of caught it there and goofed it up, but it doesn't matter. That's just inside that seal. Now, we should be able to pull this out. Just kind of work it a couple times. There we go. And that popped out the seal. So that's all you're changing. You're going to change. This is the seal. This is, if your forks are leaking oil, that's what's leaking. Right here, this seal. This seal that we took off on the top is just kind of called a wiper seal. What it does, it keeps dirt, bugs, and all that junk from getting down inside. It really doesn't stop oil. It's more to clean the fork. This is your seal. So you have a seal, a spacer, and then you have your bushings. The copper bushings here. Okay, those, and I'll show you. You just slide these off. And again, make sure you pay attention to how this goes on and off. And when you put it together, make sure you pay attention. You can see the top here has a slot. That's where that spring went. Okay, I don't know if I can put this back in here, but that's where that spring goes, inside there. The seal is actually on this side. This is the side that keeps the oil in. If you put it in upside down, it'll leak. So you want to make sure you pay attention to how that goes. Again, lay it out on a piece of paper. You can put a tag on it, put some masking tape on it, whatever you want to do. Okay? Next thing is your washer. Okay? That goes off. Your brass bushing comes off. And the last one, a little bit harder to do, but if you see there's a slot in it right here, you just kind of, I don't know if I could do it with greasy hands. Let me stick this back in here to hold it. Just kind of spread that a little bit. That's really slippery. There you go. Just kind of spread that a little bit and take it off. Okay? So that's what you do. Now you can spray this all clean, do what you got to do, get it clean, clean out inside of here, spray that clean, get it really clean, like use a lot of brake clean and flush it out and get it clean, make sure there's no junk in there. So when you go to put it back together, you just do it in the reverse order. We'll show you how to do that on the next video, but that's all you really need to do to take a Vision fork apart. This is very, very similar on a Jackpot. Any of the bikes that are non-inverted with the traditional style forks, the conventional forks that have the fork on the bottom, the big tube on the bottom, Jackpots, Highballs, Vegases, all that kind of bike. This is basically how you do it. It's pretty much the same thing. So if you look on the bench here, you can see I have everything kind of laid out how it was. That was the first thing. The second thing, the seal, the clip, the spacer, and then I have the two bushings. So you lay that out so when you put it back together you know exactly how you do it. So that's all there is to it. So you guys can probably try that. Like I said, I never did that myself, never even saw it done, and I did it that quick. So you guys can do the same thing. So thanks for watching.